Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're checking out one of the most interesting and beautiful S-types I've ever seen. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having a great day today. As you can see, we've got two beautiful S-type guitars in the studio. Of course, one is the original. This is the Fender Stratocaster. This is a Player Series plus top guitar made in Mexico. Beautiful instrument. Now, on the other hand, we've got the Sire S7. And as you guys may know, we're in the middle of a Sire series. So I knew when we got to the S7, I had to compare it up against the Fender. So here we go. All right, so let's do a quick feature comparison between the Player Series and the S7, and then of course we're gonna plug it in and see what it's all about, but let's just see where it sits in the market next to Fender. So this is a Player Series Strat. When I was buying this, I decided to kick in the extra 40 bucks or so to get the flame top, but other than that, all the other appointments are exactly the same as any other Player Series. So here we go, let's compare it up against the Sire S7 Flame Top. Here we go, and I think pretty soon you guys will see, even though they kind of compete against each other, they're worlds apart. So number one, here we go. Fender Player Series, this one here, $859. So $859. Here we go, $659. So a full $200 cheaper. That's the first thing to note about the Sire S7. $200 cheaper than the Player Series. Now, when we talk about the headstocks, here's just a kind of look at them. Now, on the Fender, we get basic Fender tuning machines. On the Sire, locking tuners. That's fantastic. Now, the next thing is on the Player Series, well, you get a plastic nut, bone nut on the Sire S7. And I think the next feature, as you guys can see, well, roasted maple neck on the Sire, regular maple neck on the Fender. As for the dots, straight black on the Fender, abalone on the S7. So as you can see, every single feature on the Sire is just dominating the Fender. There's nothing close. And of course, the Fender's $200 more expensive. Now, when we talk about the fretwork and the fret ends, here we go. Let's take a couple shots. Top shot here is going to be the Sire. As you can see, beautifully rolled fingerboard edge, beautifully rounded off fret ends. On the other hand, you got the Fender, very sharp, transition between the neck and the fingerboard. And fretwork, I would describe as adequate, certainly not good though. Passable is how I would describe that, especially in comparison to the Sire. Now, as for the bodies, well, you've got a veneer versus veneer. So alder bodies with veneers on the top. The Sire, very intense. I do love the cherry burst on the Fender. And of course, there's all sorts of different finishes for the Sire as well. But a much more dynamic veneer for sure on the Sire. Now, the next feature that I want to talk about is contours. Yes, look at them all. I'll try to catch them in the light so you guys can see. A huge contour scoop along here. The heel joint is angled, so it's thicker there and thinner there. And of course, you've got all the other scoops. So it's much more comfortable when you get up high just to have all those contours on the back. To get that on a Fender, you're talking thousands of dollars. So I don't think, big companies just move so slowly, and Fender's certainly bad for that. So traditional block, no contours on here. I'll just take, since we're talking a full comparison, yeah, there's the trem block. Nice big beefy block on the Player Series. Let's quickly take a look here because I pulled the back cavity off both. There you go. Nice looking block on the Sire as well. And in terms of the front trem, it's a 2-point trem with a little set screw so the bar can come out, put it in your gig bag. This one comes with a gig bag, I should say. So a beautiful 2-point trem with the tension bar so you can just get it just right where you want it. As you guys know, because I've talked about this, 2-point trem that works quite well, but it still is a thread-in bar. So there's no set screw, so you can't quite get it where you want. It'll loosen up over time, so all your settings will change, and then you'll have to thread it around again. So there you guys go. That's just a quick look between the two. So $200 cheaper, and every single feature on this guitar dominates the Fender. That's just the honest truth. And when we talk about it being $200 cheaper and the list of specs, I'm trying to think in my mind mentally how much Fender would charge for something like this. So hopefully that illustrates why I think Fender could never build this guitar. Of course they could build this guitar. The problem is they would have to charge you $2,000 for it, not $650. Now, as you guys know, specs aren't everything when it comes to a guitar. It's got to back it up with playability and with great pickups. So we're going to plug it in a second. I will link to this guitar in the video description below. You guys can check all the specs out there. I've highlighted a few of them, but just in terms of playability, hate to say it, but it was also half a pound lighter than my Player Series Strat. So it's very light, and as I mentioned, all the ergonomic cutaways that let your hand get all the way to the top. So it's lightweight, it's balanced, and with the rolled fingerboard edges and the fretwork and stuff, it just plays like a dream. All right, you guys, it's time to get down to the nitty gritty. Let's plug it in and see what it sounds like. All right, you guys, now let's test out some lead tones on the S7. Of course, we got the humbucker here, which is great, but we're gonna switch between the humbucker and the neck just to get a few different tones. We got lots of gain going on here, so here we go, let's just noodle around. So after listening back to those tones on the S7, that was kind of the final piece of the puzzle for me. I mean, I knew this guitar was spec'd out with the locking tuners, the bone nut, the roasted maple neck, rolled fingerboard edges, beautiful fretwork, you know, gloss on the front, satin on the back, contoured heel joint there, lightweight, beautiful top, great trem system. The final piece of the puzzle was listening carefully to this guitar. And it sounds really good. I mean, that bridge pickup just has like all the brash brightness of a Super Strat with a humbucker. So loved that, loved having that. I did notice one thing. Obviously position 1 was hum canceling. Position 2 was also hum canceling. Lots of times when you have a humbucker and they split it in position 2, it's not hum canceling. So you have hum canceling in position 2 and 4 as well. So there's actually 3 positions out of the 5 that are hum canceling. So if you do like to use a bit of gain, that's nice to have. And the other thing I was really listening for closely was the quack. You know, in position 4, does it quack like a Strat? You know, in position 2, you know, does it have that real kind of, yeah, nasally bite? And it does. So really impressed with those in-between positions. And the single coils, they're Alnico pickups. Obviously, they have that chime. So yeah, that was kind of like the last missing piece of the puzzle for me. And at $650, cheaper if you don't want the flame top, if you just like a plain top, like a sunburst or something like that, or a solid finish. It's even cheaper than 650 bucks. I seriously recommend you guys trying one of these before you buy a Strat. And that's just my honest opinion. I mean, the specs, the attention to detail, the playability, and now the tone. This is just kind of astonishing in some ways. This is just a really, really good guitar. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned to the channel because we have the Sire T7 coming up. That's the T-style guitar. We also have the Sire L7. So that's the Les Paul archtop kind of guitar. So stay tuned for that. We'll have those coming up in the next couple of weeks. Other than that, if you guys enjoy demos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel. All my information, the gear I use, links to the guitars, it's all down in the video description below. You can check it out there. Other than that, have yourself a great day. Take care.